Welcome, everyone, to Alaska Quarterly Review's Reading and Conversation series. I am Ronald Spatz, co-founder and editor-in-chief of Alaska Quarterly Review, and this event is being recorded and will be available on demand on the Alaska Quarterly Review YouTube channel. Before we begin, I'd like to make a few important acknowledgments. Alaska Quarterly Review acknowledges the Anchorage Museum for hosting and providing technical support for this event, and the Center for the Narrative and Lyric Arts, Alaska Quarterly Review's 501c3 umbrella organization, which makes this event possible. I also want to make a land acknowledgement. Alaska Quarterly Review recognizes the indigenous land on which all Alaskans live. Alaska Quarterly Review is located in Anchorage, and Anchorage's Dena'ina homeland. Dena'ina is the language spoken by the traditional, present, and future caretakers of this land, and land acknowledgement opens a space with gratefulness and respect for the contributions, innovations, and contemporary perspective of indigenous peoples and marks our collective movement toward decolonization and equity. Today, we are delighted to feature Heather Sellers, who will be reading her personal essay, Tell Me Again, Who Are You? That was first published in Alaska Quarterly Review. She will be reading an abridged version so that it can fit within the confines of our programming. The essay itself, after published in Alaska Quarterly Review, went on to receive wide recognition, including being cited by Oliver Sachs on the subject of face blindness. The essay was also the seed of Sellers' memoir, You Don't Look Like Anyone I Know, that was featured in O, the Oprah Magazine, and the O of the Month Book Club Editor's Choice at the New York Times, and was also featured on NPR, the Today Show, Good Morning America, and the Rachael Ray Show. Mary Roach, in her book review of the memoir for the New York Times, wrote that Sellers' calm, glass half full to overflowing worldview could, in another writer's hands, veer toward treacle, but she pulls it off beautifully. I predict exciting things for her, critical acclaim, hearty sales, and perhaps best of all, long lines of strangers at every reading. In addition to Alaska Quarterly Review, Sellers' recent essays appear in the New York Times, Reader's Digest, Real Simple, Good Housekeeping, The Sun, and O, the Oprah Magazine. Her essay Haywire was selected for the Best American Essays, and Pedal, Pedal, Pedal won a Pushcart Prize in 2018. She regularly speaks to audience about face blindness, most recently at NASA. Sellers is also the author of two poetry collections, Field Notes from the Flood Zone and Present State in the Garden, as well as two previous collections, The Boys I Borrow and Drinking Girls and Their Dresses. Her latest book is How to Make Poems. Sellers' popular textbook, The Practice of Creative Writing, is in its fourth edition, following two books on craft, page after page and chapter after chapter. She's written a children's book, Spike and Cubby's Ice Cream Island Adventure with Amy Young, and published numerous chapbooks and a collection of linked stories titled Georgia Underwater, published by Saraband Books. Sellers is currently a professor in the undergraduate and MFA creative writing programs at the University of South Florida. It is my pleasure to welcome Heather Sellers.
Thank you so much, Ron. It is a joy to be with you. I am so grateful to you and to the Alaska Quarterly Review, who published one of my very first essays, Facts and Opinions, and who published the essay that I'm going to read an abridged version of today, which directly led to my very successful memoir. The Alaska Quarterly Review publishes longer works and they stand by their authors. I've been so gratified to have this 25-year plus relationship with you, Ron, and with the magazine. I also want to thank the museum for the technical support and for hosting us today. I have a new piece coming out in the Alaska Quarterly Review that I'm very excited about. And I just want to give a shout out to the magazine and its editorial staff. So few editors give you notes, and even fewer give you notes that you can really use. Ron Spatz, you had such great suggestions for the essay. That brilliant title that you found, and just such incredibly thoughtful notes. I'm always grateful to get to work with you and grateful that you publish longer, substantive essays. I'm going to read an abridged version of Tell Me Again, Who Are You? 1, Harvard University. For the test, my first Harvard test, I'm lying flat on my back. I'm at the university of my dreams. Finally, I'm taking the test. I'm one of those people who loves taking the test. I'm one of the girls who thought I should go to Harvard, but I never knew how or even where it was. For the test, my body and brain are wedged in this white plastic MRI tube in a dark room in a dusty lab. My arms are pinned at my sides, and my face is in a white plastic cage with metal wires coming out of it, stuffed with packing material, sponges lodged all around my face. I could be shipped to the Alps. Mark me fragile. The test is called Same Different. Same Different is created by a neuroscientist, tiny, slender Galit Yovel. She keeps popping into the MRI room to check on me. Faces morphed by a computer to 10, 20, 30% difference, denuded of hair and ears, flash before my eyes on a tiny computer screen, duct taped in the top of the MRI tube. In my sock feet, black yoga pants, and a paper-thin white t-shirt, perfectly still, lying on my back, I click left, same. I click right, different, as the faces fly by. But I can't tell which faces are the same and which are different. I will be diagnosed as prosopagnosia, face blind, able to see faces, but unable to read them. I am desperately hoping to fail this test, although I am trying my hardest because I want an accurate score. If I fail, I have a diagnosis, a passport, a Greek term, prosopagnosia, a way to explain, a reason to say, tell me again, do I know you? Because so far, I've been winging it. When I was a child, my mother was one people regularly called peculiar. People said, you are like your mother, and people said, don't be like your mother. Everything wrong seemed like it came from her. When I was dating and could not tell the men at the bar apart which one was the one I came with, when you are 20 and adorable, being mixed up, making mistakes, it's just called flirting. But then I got married. I was nearly 40 years of age at this point, and I couldn't recognize this man, my husband. At the grocery store, I went up to the wrong man. At the road races we ran together, 5Ks, only not together. Dave is fast and kind, and when I would walk past him, he said, I don't think you can tell people apart. Once we were watching a movie, and I was asking, have we seen any of these people before? He said, it's like with Gail Kuipers that day when you didn't know her. And I said, folding into his good, strong arms, "Oh my God, it's a thing, isn't it?" And then I did what we do, web research. I also did what my mother used to do. I wrote the government a letter. The Department of Rare Neurological Disorders, a state agency, a federal agency, the government sent me a packet of information in the mail, just like in the old days. And one of the websites they directed me to was www.faceblind.org at Harvard. Diagnosis is a coupon, a passport, an apology, an invitation, maybe a cure. At least it's a different kind of fraternizing, perhaps, with the concept of a cure. But in the tube, during this test, I cannot breathe. My chest feels wrapped with bands. I want out of the tube very badly, almost even worse than I want to be officially face blind, officially explained, at least to my husband and to myself. To get calm, I try to imagine Harvard's brick buildings around me, peaceful, the beautiful church I saw when I walked across the diamond shapes of grass. It's going to be worth it. Soon you're going to know. The mystery will be solved. This marriage healed. But when I try to imagine the world outside the dark room, the bright, tight white tube, I just feel like I have to get out of the tube. I feel like if I don't get out now, I will die. Sometimes I feel that way about being in the world. I am not actually in a tube at Harvard University, but I will not figure that out for several weeks when an $80 check comes from MIT. And I write to Galit the email, I see it goes to MIT. There is no diagnosis code for the inability to recognize other humans. The science literature says prosopagnosia is extremely rare, usually caused by a stroke or injury to the head. You pronounce it like this: pro, like you're for something; soap, nice and clean, you're for cleanliness; agnosia, there's a lot of those, that's the easy part. It's any kind of not knowing. Not knowing, well, it's even more common, as it turns out, than knowing. Agnosia, think agnostic. Pro-soap, agnosia. Dr. Oriano of Michigan Medical and Dr. Donders, Spectrum Health in Grand Rapids, both told me to my face this would be extremely unusual if you had this. It's just very rare. Both of these doctors told me they'd never seen it before. Dr. Donders gave me the Benton face test and famous faces test. I passed the first test, photos of women and men from the 1960s in weird haircuts and sideburns and stiff clothes. These images are 40 years old. We had no television in my mother's house, no newspapers, no radio, no framed things, no photos on the walls. Those were all conduits for the voices she heard. So I don't know famous people. I told the doctor I wouldn't know these people anyway. He said the test takes that into account. In the tube, at not Harvard but MIT, which I don't know, I click same, different. Galit's faces are real faces from contemporary times. They have up-to-date hair and their ears have been airbrushed away. The faces pop and zip across the computer screen. These are the fastest faces I have ever seen. Lodged in my left hand is a plastic ball. It's like a baby ear irrigator. That's my emergency squeeze. That's my get me the heck out. If I freak out, I can't scream. If I scream, they won't hear me over the pulsing roar of the machine. There's no cure. There's no treatment. If I'm prosopagnosia, nothing will really change. If I'm designated officially face blind, I still won't know who you are. If you put your hair up, or if you put on a hat, if you ride by on a bike and a helmet and say, "Hey, Heather," I will still have to call out, "Who is it?" And you will say, and then I will know. It's hard to know how much of a problem this is, but sometimes when a stranger calls out my name, I look away. Has the Valium kicked in? Brad says over the microphone. Tall, cute Brad, a postdoc collaborator of Galit's. Brad, who looks like an actor, not a particular actor, just tall and strong and vibrant and cool. The kind of person who would be famous. Sure, I say. I'll say anything to get inside my brain to snag a view of this mess, and I want to be the best little prosopagnosic they've ever met. I want to be invited back. I'm at freaking Harvard, and I want to do well. Truth be told, the Valium hasn't kicked in. It hasn't even nudged the door or impressed upon the anxiety in any way whatsoever. There's no cushion here other than the foam around my head. My friend Anne says this about painkillers. They don't kill the pain at all. Nothing really takes away the pain. She says they just make it so you aren't so terrified that it won't be more than you can stand. This morning, Brad picked me up in the lobby of the Park Plaza Hotel in Boston, and we took a cab to Harvard. It was kind of like a date. Brad was wearing the same t-shirt as the day before, a ragged, pale yellow, intentionally ancient-looking shirt with a cartoon monkey on it, a monkey I've seen somewhere before, a cool person monkey. I asked him in the cab how he got interested in prosopagnosia. He said a friend of the family, his mom's friend, had it, and he'd gotten interested. He talked about his family, and he asked me about mine. Did anyone else have prosopagnosia? Wasn't that kind of family, I told Brad, where anyone would notice something like that. I wanted to tell him, I think both of my parents might be criminally insane. I feel like Brad, with his little monkey t-shirt, his newly beat up Converse, and his pinky ring, Brad can handle anything. Instead, I told him how I couldn't recognize my husband's children at school pickup or at the movie theater, how I hugged the wrong man in the grocery store at the wrong cart thinking it was my husband Dave, how my colleagues remained unidentifiable after a decade, how I kept introducing myself to people at the park across the street from my house. Hi, I'm Heather, I just live over there, I'd say, and they would remind me they live next door. Pointing to myself and then the house, the weird stairs. If the man who lives next door to me is standing in the next door driveway, I have no clue who this man is. So, do you think I have it? I asked Brad as the cab curled past the Big Dig. I wanted to know. I want not to be a faker or an exaggerator. We'll soon find out, he said. He smiled nicely. A name, a diagnosis, it's like an answer that comes complete with love and attention as presets. What could be more seductive than that? This search for a name, a diagnosis, it's a search for someone with hands to lay on my shoulders, someone smart who says, yes, you are it. You are the perfect example of my life's work. Now, in the terrible tube, the noise is as deafening as the sound of a fighter jet. I'm not allowed to move my head, No smiling. I'm crying. Where's the Valium? My buffer, the silk blanket of a drug. Maybe I'm feeling it and I just don't know. I've never taken Valium before. Maybe my brain is Valium blind. Brad and Galit are behind, I know, the radiation barrier, looking inside my brain for light. I want to marry Brad and Galit. I want to be experimented on by them forever. When I look up, I see the tiny mirror, the size of a little lipstick case. My head is anchored in sponges, the vibrating roars, and tears are slipping out of my eyes, itching my cheeks. I feel it on my neck. I know I'm getting the sponges wet. I don't know where the light is coming from, but the tube is bright from within. My brain is tilted back. I'm feeling very brainy. Although I'm not at Harvard, I'm at MIT, and I won't figure that out for 2 more days. I'm looking in the mirror at the top of the brain's cage, and there's a computer screen reflected in it, which is taped to the back end of a straw. The screen has a jagged crack across it. These rooms are a little bit messy. The floors are dusty. I hear the researchers, Brad and Galit, talking to me over a microphone, but I can't understand a word they're saying. Their voices are muffled, and the sound of the jet is so loud. Wah, 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 Hoofian, please squeeze the ball. I squeeze. There's a loud set of clicks, like angry roosters have landed in a mass on top of my tube. And then the rumbling and screaming of the machine starts up again. In the tube, I'm now watching an episode of The Simpsons. My brain is perhaps being tuned to the tune of Bart and Lisa. Then the screen goes all white with the giant scar scratch across it. And then, fast, those faces start flashing on the broken screen again. It's like a casino or some kind of bar game, those pop-up menus that torture your computer. And here they come. The bald women flitting around with their close personal friends. Or maybe it's just one beautiful bald woman, like a model. Everything seems large and perfect about her. One time, my husband Dave said, "Can you describe your face?" I smiled. What an excellent question. I'd never thought about that before. And I smiled again because I was drawing a blank. My face? I closed my eyes and tried to see it. I tried to imagine it, but I couldn't. I know it's heart-shaped and small and cute, I said, but that's because I've been told this. And then we were looking at some photos of me that my friend Pat had taken out at the Saugatuck Dunes. I can see it when I'm looking at the photo, but I can't imagine it when I look away, I said. Dave said, "What about your mother's face?" It's like she's standing right there, but I can put my hand through her, like those ghosts in the dining room at the haunted house in Disney. I can almost see it. There's a face there. It's not a ghost without a face. "How would you describe the face?" he said softly. I took a sip of my wine. I leaned against him. We were sitting at my kitchen counter. "I can't describe it," I said. "I can see it, but then there's this weird series of gaps. It's like when you're running on the railroad tracks. There's her face, there's her, here I am, I see her, she has a face, but I don't know that face. It's a placeholder. It's like an energy that stands in for her herness." He said, "How about your dad, your brother?" "Same. Different." The bald woman appears on the cracked computer screen and my little lipstick mirror in the tube above my head. She floats, dashes really, this disembodied head across the screen. Her face is always exactly the same size, about 1/6 of the size of the screen. She alternates her side, left to right. You never know where she's going to pop up, sometimes from the top, the bottom, or the other side. It's hard to keep up. I'm never sure when I press different. They all look the same. I can't tell if it's 4 women in a rotation or many, many women with subtle, superfine differences. I am just guessing, like I have been all along. Meanwhile, I don't really want to do anything wrong to wreck up the data, but I don't know. Is it saying different? I keep waiting for a markedly new girl, a very different face, something I can hang on to. I click same, 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 same. I need a question mark button. Now here's a different face. The eyebrows look more intense, like they're underlined. Maybe. Otherwise, she looks the same to me. There are people I can recognize. The weirdly outlined, very heavy set, super skinny, very tall, very short freaks. The bent, the broken, the extremely ugly. People with long hair or astounding hair, superbly frizzy, intently braided, spectacularly combed over. Donald, anything big, wrong, or emphatic affecting the outline is good, useful. Some people come with these handles. Some, many, most, you can't tell from all the other knives in the drawer. I'm not able to recognize myself in mirrors, photographs, home movies. Beautiful people are the sum of the perfect average, right? They're very difficult to tell apart. In magazines, they all seem like the same model. I can't tell Cindy, Julia, Linda, Christy. I'm kind of grateful for that. Galit has said to me, what's amazing is that the brain can tell faces apart at all. They mostly look the same. We are interested, she says, in how the brain does this amazing feat, distinguishing all of these faces. Brad and Galit are running their tests from a bank of laptops they take everywhere with them. They're now plugged into this hardware console that has a sign atop that reads monkey MRI. When I first came in, I asked, monkey MRI? And they said, no. There aren't monkeys in this part of the building. The monkeys are upstairs. But that sign was there. I walked under it, and I did check for dark hairs on the bed sheet when Galit was strapping me in. It feels like there was a monkey in here. During this session, I will take a dozen different tests. The first one was in their office, the famous faces test. I clicked on Brad's laptop space bar and a famous face came up. Brad said, sitting next to me, is this familiar? I said, yes. This test isn't timed, he said. Take as much time as you need. I stared at the face. Jim Carrey, I said. I'm feeling like I'm off to a good start on this test. That's me, he says. I just put that in there for fun. I can feel my face fall. Mean trick. I take a sip of my water. I stare at the screen. I can't believe the face I'm looking at is his face. Do you look like Jim Carrey? I say. I want to be wrong and I want to be right. That tension is at the center of this diagnostic quest. He does look like Jim Carrey, people say. So I give myself full credit for that one. The only other famous face I get is Robert Downey Jr. These are just faces, cropped of ears, cropped of hair. I miss Elvis, Brad Pitt, Mel Gibson, Jennifer Aniston, the entire crew. After the famous faces test, Brad asks me a bunch of names. Do I know who Brad Pitt is? I do. Do I know Ronald Reagan? I do. Do I know Winston Churchill? I do. Of course, I do. Do I know Tony Blair? I know who he is. I don't know that I've ever recognized him in a photo. I don't have a television. When his image is in the newspaper, I wouldn't know unless I read the caption. I do try to keep up with the famous people, who they're getting married to, what they're up against, what they're nominated for, get addicted to. But evidently, I don't know them at all. I can't recognize the famous people, even though I do know them by name. Brad tells me I'm the second worst person to fail this test. The only man who did worse than me was hit on the head in a car accident. The guy's amazing with birds, but he can't find a face at all. He can't even figure out what a face is. The summer I graduated from high school, I told my neighbor Evelyn, when she asked me where I was going to college, a big fat lie. Harvard, I said. She said, I'm not surprised. 2 months later, at age 17, I'm on a bus headed north out of Orlando. I'm going to college, not Harvard, Florida State University. To me, it sounds grand. Not exactly sure where Florida State University is, how long I'll be on the bus until we reach Tallahassee, but I am going to college. There's so much I want to find out. I just want to know and know and know and know. My mother says full-time work would teach me what I need to know. She says she believes in hard work. My mother, at the time, doesn't have a paying job. She says I'm not prepared for college. Something's wrong with me. I will wash out. You need to work, she says. The night before I left, my father wept, said, don't leave him. Go to Valencia, go to junior college. I can't go to junior college. At Harvard, there's a sign on the lobby door that says, do not feed the scientists. I concentrated on this when I waited for the Valium to kick in. And now the Valium has not kicked in, and I have to get out of this tube. I squeeze the emergency ball. I feel like I've floated so far out of the normal Heather world. I wonder if they can see my thoughts, if they could see that I was thinking, monkey MRI, monkey MRI. The endless buzzing continues. They don't pull me out of the tube. I click my buttons, same, trying to stay very still. If the face of the morphed woman does look different, I click different. Sometimes I accidentally click the wrong button. The faces are coming so fast. To be honest, I never really know if the face is same or different. And then I have to get out. I have to get out. The researchers who are testing me are very young. They're younger than me. Galit is going to teach neuroscience at the University of Tel Aviv in the fall. Brad is going to be a faculty member at the University of London. When Galit comes in, the noise stops. Suddenly, it feels like everything wrong with me has been healed. She slides me out. I grin. I sit up and stretch. I cannot believe how brave I've been. I'm so claustrophobic. Can we do more, or do you have to stop? She says. Stop, I say. I wipe tears off my face. You did great, she says. Was it okay? It was hard, I say. It was a long time. An hour, she says. But it looks like we got some good data. She will call me tonight at my hotel to tell me what they find. If I can't see faces, she will know for sure. I say thank you. She says again, I did so well. For someone with claustrophobia to be willing to help them like this, she's just very grateful. You did great, she says again when we're getting in her car, and I feel like $1,000,000. And then she says when we're driving, you clicked same a lot. I did the best I could, I say. I sink into the back seat, but I feel like I'm at Harvard, a person who's probably making a C-. That evening, I walk around the city. I stand on the Boston Common. I hear women speaking French, Dutch. I hear people speaking Chinese. Everyone looks so smart, and there are a lot of ducks and babies. I walk around feeling smart and helpful. In my hotel, I have dinner at a famous oyster bar. I have 6 kinds of raw oysters, and I compare each one. Same, different. The metal taste is good. It tastes like how being in the MRI machine felt. When I slide the oysters into my mouth, I read the Bhagavad Gita, which I keep calling the Bhagavad Gita. I order a second glass of Chardonnay and I listen to the men talking about running next to me. I stay quiet. I donated my body to science. I don't want to do anything to mar my good mood, so I stay quiet. In my hotel that night, I take a bath and wait for Galit's call. I get out, not feeling cleaner, just coated with soap. I flash back to how Brad and she flicked open their laptops, how their very own laptops ran the MRI machine. Oh, I'm going to want to tell my husband Dave about all of this, but I need to remember what kind of laptops. Apple, that's the part of the story he's going to like. If it's Apple, if I know what kind. I wait for the phone to ring in my hotel room, for the red button to light up. I'm wanting this terrible news. Your brain doesn't work like a normal brain. We have proof. I need this sentence as a passport so that when I travel through the country of normal people, the neurotypicals, I can say, it's proven. It's been proven at Harvard. See, I am not like you, but I am trying very hard. I want to feel not insane, but just helpful when I say to both of us, can you tell me again, who are you? Finally, the phone rings and I jump off the Boston bed like electricity. Hello, I say. Heather, I'm thinking, what are you really hoping for here? Are you worried they found a brain tumor? Are you remembering there's no treatment, no cure? Galit says, I have terrible news. I am so sorry. Ah, my whole body says. I stand up in my hotel room, which is really 2 old rooms made into one gorgeous, nice new room. Terrible news, terrible news. I'm shaking all over. We lost all the data, she says. I was very worried when they said they were working on the machine this weekend, but we tested it. We thought we were okay, but the data, it's all junk. I say, so we do not know if my face area lights up? We have nothing, she says. Can you come in again? No, I say. I took the Valium. I don't have another. There's nothing we can do. We're at Harvard, I want to say to Galit. How is it possible the computers and machines don't work? Whose fault is this, I want to say? Do you know how hard that was? All those faces, all that not knowing, lying still for such a long time? Galit says, I'm sure we can get a Valium. I will call Brad. He will know someone. I hate to ask, but we have nothing, no data. I'm sick about it. And there's another thing. My husband specializes in claustrophobia. He's a therapist, cognitive behavioral. He's helped a lot of people. I don't know, I say. I'm shaking all over. My hands are sweating. I wanted to know tonight. I tell her I'm leaving Sunday evening. I have to think, I said. He can come over now, she says. He thinks he can address the issue in one session, but there's not any pressure on you. All right, we're going to fix my brain and my claustrophobia. It's like a complete mental workover, I said. I'm going to go back to Michigan a whole new person. I'm using my freehand to try to say cheerful when mostly it just seems like everything is breaking. I don't think I can do it again. Lay there with tears pouring out of me for 1 hour in a profoundly confusing situation. It's really a true nightmare. All these bald women who look alike but maybe are different. and I just want to get the answers right, but also be tested accurately. So I call Dave, my husband. What should I do? How was the big meeting? He says. His voice is pushy, cheerful, like a thing catching up to itself. Well, we talked about that last night, I said, trying to breathe. I'm looking up at the ceiling of my palatial Park Plaza room. Today was the face thing. The face thing, he says. The cell phone crackles. I want to say, have you been drinking a lot? When did you start today? Dave says he doesn't think the man should come to my room and do this experiment on me. He thinks I should just come home. I tell him that Brad had been calling around, had called, couldn't find the Valium, and then had called back saying, we remembered Serena. And I thought that was so perfect. A woman named Serena who has the Valium. This woman named after the evening, night, late, love song, Serene, a postdoc friend of theirs. When I asked him what her area of study was, he told me, attention. Dave said, do they like your book? And I said, this isn't those people. This isn't that. That was the Bedford St. Martin meeting 2 days ago. We already talked about it. This is the face people. I don't sound happy. I wish I'd called someone else. This is my husband. We're breaking up, I said. I pretended the static was a lot worse than it was, and I disconnected. Are you ready to kill the monster? Iftal leans forward, smiling, rubbing his hands. He says if people are scared of bridges, but every morning people drive across bridges, then we too can do this thing they are doing. We can drive across the bridge. I'm not going to be driving across a bridge, but I take notes as he talks. I believe what he's saying. We can outsmart fear. It sounds good. Iftal says there is no fear, actually. There's only fear of fear. There is no such thing as claustrophobia. It all sounds great. We can do what normal people do. Why go to a psychotherapist to talk when there is this efficient, workable way? Cognitive behavioral therapy. We kill him, Iftal says, grinning like a kid. He stands up. We kill the monster. Right now, I say? I've been sitting with Iftal, Galit's husband, in the lobby for an hour. People think they have a thing, he says. It's not a real thing. The tube can't hurt you. The small spaces, you won't die. You feel you will die, but you're just afraid of that feeling, which is a very uncomfortable feeling, granted, but you won't die in the tube. The tube cannot hurt you. When we were babies, he says, we were afraid if we were in a small space, in a crevice. Our heart rate went up, our fear responses increased our chance of survival. The mind is dumb. The body's dumber. We're wired to freak out about high places, narrow places, small places. But this information is 10,000 years old, older. Small places can't kill us. The mind body just thinks this. We can be smarter. We can create a gap. He says, let's go do it. Right now, I said, I was thinking this was just a talk, wasn't it? Yes, yes. The MRI is tomorrow, yes, and you are leaving tomorrow evening. I think we can do this in 1 hour. This wasn't our hour? My hands flap around, trying to designate the space of the talking. I'd taken notes. He's nodding, waiting, smiling, standing, rocking on his toes. We get in the elevator. How are you in elevators, he says. I push floor 32. I'm thinking of Aristotle and how the mind is in the heart. Maybe the brain can't trump the heart. Maybe the baby wins in us every time. I'm fine, I say. The elevator whooshes up. Where is Galit, princess of the kingdom of the brain? She's home with their twins. Where's Brad? Who am I in Boston? This Heather, meeting with a CBT researcher, a stranger, in the middle of a night in a hotel, in my hotel room. I do not recognize myself. Fortunately, I am very used to that. You will not need the Valium, Iftal says, I do not want you to take it tomorrow. You have a great chance to finish off the monster tomorrow. I am so excited for you not to take it. As we go into my room, Iftal says, we have to kill the monster. We kill him and you are free. You have a chance. Any chance you have to kill him a little more, always take it. The Valium, it just makes everything worse. I don't tell him, I will not be getting in the tube without the Valium. What is scary to you here in this room, Iftal says. You. Then we decide I need to get in the closet. I get in the closet. What will freak you out now, he says through the closed door. I can feel his body leaning against the door. I can't believe I'm sitting in the dark in a closet on the 32nd floor of a hotel. I can see in my mind's eye the ironing board and out in the city, the lit up bridges flanging out of Boston like electric cords. He jangles the doorknob. Do you see the monster, he says. Is he near? Yes, I say. I'm smiling. Are you laughing at him? That is good. That is good. See? This is the weirdest thing I have ever done in my entire life. I want to call my friends. I want Dave or someone, anyone to see that this is happening. Iftal bangs on the door hard. Then it's quiet. The monster grows. We do it again. Again and again and again. He screams. He kicks the door. I sit there and stare at the monster. And he's right. It grows smaller. Nothing can scare me. It's just bizarre. I think I'm cured, I say when I come out. You must go home to Galit now. Iftal looks like he has killed the monster himself. You are cured, he says. No Valium needed. He throws his hands up over his head. He shakes my hand. I will be using half Valium, half CBT, but I don't tell him this. Thank you, I say. My wife was so upset. She was so upset. I had to help. He bows slightly, takes his coat, and I walk him to the door. I lock the door, change into my sleeping shirt, brush my teeth, and put up my hair. I set the alarm and call again to confirm my wake-up call. I get under the covers and breathe. I wake up at 6:59, 1 minute before the alarm. In the lab, I take half the Valium and I am placed in the MRI's machine long coffin tube. I try to remember Iftal's lessons, and it's terrifying being in the tube, all the incredible noise. And after the second test is concluded, I ask Galit, what are they thinking? How does it look? You press same a lot, Galit says. I'll know more after I run the numbers. Will I get to know anything, I say? I'm not sure what I want. I'm expecting her to hand me a report, I guess. Handouts, graphs, charts. I'm thinking she's going to sit down with me today and go over all of this at a table. And then when we're done, I'll understand everything about how my brain works. But Galit says no. I can write her with questions. The article will be out, she hopes, maybe in a month. She's going to email me the citation. I feel so let down hearing this. I feel like, what was the point again? I tell her to thank my husband, thank her husband. It was so nice of him to come and to help me. It's the least I could do. And you were so much less anxious today, yes? You can tell him, cured in 1 hour. I'm a complete convert to CBT. Tell him it worked great. You don't have to tell him I took a bit of the Valium. I smile and Galit laughs. You were very calm, she says, very different from yesterday. Flying home that evening from Harvard, I try to conjure fear just so I can practice my monster technique, but I'm not afraid of flying. I'm in the very back row of the plane, pressed into the window. I search around in my brain for the 10,000-year-old baby, but there's nothing. There's no discomfort at all. I feel like my brain has been dusted off, cleaned out with one of those static electricity wipes. It's as though the MRI blasted away a few layers of neurosis, like we shined a flashlight into the crannies and just wiped. I sip my seltzer and close my eyes. I can't tilt my seat back, so I sit up and doze, strapped into the hard little airplane chair. I'm a girl steering a brain, flying through space like a neuron with a destination and a heart. And I'm still wondering, what do I know now? Galit said what she's studying is this. There are two processes, face detection and face identification. They are definitely dissociated. Do they co-occur, or do they follow each other in time? Her theory is that face-blind people process faces like normal people process objects, and people like me don't have the mechanism for making fine discriminations among faces. My deepest worry is I'm going to read her paper and still not know enough about my brain and what I can do and what I cannot do and why and how. When I get home that night, I circle my house, trolling up and down the blocks, not wanting to go inside. As I'm driving past people, I am wondering, do I know you? Do I know you? And I'm driving right on through. What can be